A very good morning. You're watching News 9 with me, Akshita. And first up, tension continues to mount in Belagavi as several pro-Kannada leaders have arrived there to stage a protest march. Several prominent leaders, including Vatal Nagaraj, Sara Govindu, Praveen Shetty and Shivarami Gowda, have been arrested. They were detained for violating prohibitory orders which have been imposed in the region. They were arrested from Sambra Airport. And of course, the police present in Belagavi gave absolutely no room for these leaders to go ahead and begin the protest. As soon as they landed in Belagavi, they were immediately taken into custody, with the police saying that there are prohibitory orders in place and that no protests will be allowed. Remember, this was an extensive protest planned by these Kannada organizations. It was called the Yellur Chalo March, and considering that yesterday we saw Bengaluru Bandh, all the leaders made their way to Belagavi today to stage a similar protest, but the police clamped down on them before they could go ahead with the same. My colleague Arun joins us over the phone lines with more details. Arun, exactly what took place in Belagavi?
Akshita, as we all know, yesterday we had Bandh in Bengaluru to protest against the atrocities on women. And when the protesters had gone to meet the Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, there was a hint that tomorrow there was a plan for a Yellur Bandh, and that seemed to have more than enough given information to the government to be on its toes. Remember, there is Section 144 that has been imposed in many parts of Belagavi district, particularly Yellur village. So this morning when the protesters, that is led by Vatal Nagaraj of the Kannada Chalavali Paksha, landed at the airport, Sambra airport on the outskirts of Belagavi city, they were immediately taken into custody because it was a clear violation of the existing prohibitory orders which are in place. So virtually now that has angered the protesters, because they say that the way the district administration and the police have behaved, it is to basically play into the hands of the MES, and by not allowing the protest, peaceful protest as they claimed, to happen in the form of the Yellur Chalo March, they are actually they have caused a lot of anger and resentment and injured the sentiments of the Kannada-speaking populace. So now, as we speak, these leaders are in the custody of the Belagavi police. So the march is not taking place. So clearly, it goes on to indicate that the government, the state government, is taking all necessary steps and precaution to ensure that things don't go out of control. Remember, there is a very fluid situation as far as Yellur village and Belagavi Taluk and Belagavi district are concerned. The government, the last thing the government wants is escalation of violence or reenactment of that. Remember, during the weekend we had an instance of stone pelting in which close to about 20 policemen were injured, and the district administration in fact managed to arrest 6 of the culprits who were involved in stone throwing. So clearly at this point of time, the district administration is keeping a strict vigil over the development. They don't want the fragile peace that is at present existing in Yellur village to be vitiated by these kind of moves. That's the reason why as soon as the aircraft carrying these Kannada leaders landed at the Sambra airport, they were taken into custody, Akshita.
Right, Aruna, also of course considering that these are pro-Kannada leaders, the likes of Vatal Nagaraj are also being taken into custody. He is not a man to take this lying down. What is the kind of reaction he sent across soon after he was arrested? He will no doubt promise further agitations.
That's right, Akshita, but clearly at this point of time, as we speak, because these leaders have been taken into custody, there is very little that the second rung or third rung leaders would be able to do. So clearly the government has managed to, if one could use the phrase, extract the venom from the snake's teeth and left it poisonless. So now we will have to wait it out. We don't know at this point of time for how long these people will be in custody, whether it will be for a long time or whether it's a kind of a token show after which they will be let out. But clearly the last thing the government wants on its hands is once again violence and trouble, particularly in the border area. Remember this particular incident where on the directives of the Karnataka High Court, the offending milestone was removed, has already seen echoes of it in the parliament, with both the Shiv Sena and the BJP going at each other's necks. So the last thing the government wants at this point of time is that the peace be broken in the border district and the bordering villages, Akshita.
Right, Arun, thank you so much for joining us with all those details. Things, of course, heating up there in Belagavi. But before those protests could break out, we understand that Vatal Nagaraj, Sara Govindu, Praveen Shetty and several others were taken into custody by the police. In fact, barely minutes after they landed at the Belagavi airport, they were immediately taken into custody, citing prohibitory orders in place. And of course, let's listen into what Vatal Nagaraj had to say.
ಇದು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಮಹದ್ರೋಹ. ಈ ರೀತಿ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಕನಸು ಮನಸ್ಸಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಳ್ಳೂರು ಕನ್ನಡದ ಊರು, ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರ ಊರು. ಎಳ್ಳೂರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂಧಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸು, ಜಿಲ್ಲಾಡಳಿತ, ಮಹಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ ಏಕೀಕರಣ ಸಮಿತಿಯ ಪರಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನೇರವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಬಂಧಿಸಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ?
ಬಂಧಿಸಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನೇನು ಮಾಡೋಣ ನಾವು? ಹೇಳಿ,
ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳಿ.
And well, of course, Vatal Nagaraj saying that he will ensure he takes this up further and believes that Yellore is a part of Karnataka and they will agitate despite the fact that the prohibitory orders are in place. To take you through all the galata that has taken place over the last few days, it all started on July 25th when the Belagavi police removed a signboard at the entrance to Yellore, and the signboard stated Yellore, Maharashtra state, and this was reinstalled by the villagers soon after, and more such signboards came up in the area after that as well. The Belagavi district administration had asked the police to remove the reinstalled signboards, which resulted in a scuffle between the police and villagers. Section 144 was imposed in the area soon after that. Things did in fact settle down just a couple of days ago, and the police making sure that considering the volatile situation, these activists do not create chaos, have arrested them almost immediately. However, Vatal Nagaraj has promised that they will go ahead with their agitation. This is, of course, a very, very sensitive issue, be it with the Marathis or with the Kannadigas. So no doubt whoever is responsible, whether it be the police or the district administration, they will have to tread very carefully. Moving on, it's normal to see snakes being used for worship and whatnot on the occasion of Naga Panchami. But activists this time have called for people to be more aware of how subjecting these snakes to prayers and whatnot can actually harm the reptiles and is also considered illegal. Well, they are trying to spread more awareness on how devotees can possibly use idols instead of real snakes on the occasion of Naga Panchami. Well, even as temples are decorated, there are a lot of devotees out there who celebrate Naga Panchami in their homes, and many of these people consider it to be very, very auspicious. If they have a snake to worship, they provide the snake with milk as well. Activists on this day have gone on to call for better treatment of snakes to ensure that they are not abused anymore. And also what we need to keep in mind is the fact that these snakes are harmless these creatures that they get intimidated also very easily. Despite that, of course, it is seen time and again that snake charmers use this opportunity, of course, to get some more money, considering it is a very auspicious day. And also, several others are seen worshipping these snakes by providing milk and the likes. Well, we're joined in over the phone lines by Mr. Sharad Babu, who is the wildlife advisor in the BBMP. Mr. Sharad Babu, on the occasion of Naga Panchami, if you had a message to all those devotees out there on how they can ensure snakes are treated well on this occasion, what would it be?
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Mr. Babu, for all those devotees out there who will be worshipping snakes, what are the steps they need to take to ensure that snakes are not abused on this day?
I'm very happy, first of all, that you're creating an awareness or sensationalizing the public, especially devotees, because this really helps the general public. Because what has been passed down centuries is actually a misleading conception. Because reptiles, any reptile, including snakes, they do not drink milk. Now, if you have seen them drinking milk, that means this snake was kept dehydrated without water for the past 2 months only for this particular day, so that any liquid in front of it, the animal, poor reptile, starts consuming it. Number one. Number two, devotees using turmeric and haldi on the kumkum on the reptile, enters their nostril, their nasal, lining, and it really, because right now in today's age you get adulterated kumkum and haldi. So definitely it burns the respiratory system. So it's basically, and one thing we need to understand, that these snake charmers who bring these snakes on this particular day to fleece the devotees, it's a planned strategy. So they would have defanged and devenomed, and most importantly stitched the mouth of the snake. That is the only reason why public are allowed so close and to handle and do offer puja and all. And even if it's in the wild, you're doing it, again, you're, basically you're trying to torture the animal. It's not that you're worshipping in the name of worship, you're actually torturing that.
Right. Mr. Sharad Babu, on the occasion of Naga Panchami, there will be a lot of people out there who will be worshipping snakes. And as you stated, these snake charmers also use this occasion to go ahead and make a lot of money. How many incidents have you seen personally in the state where these snakes have been abused and eventually even led to their death?
See, the list is endless. But the good thing is, in Bangalore city, you will not find, a snake show with a mongoose and all. That is all prior to 2006, but after 2006, the trend has come down, but still you will find women, that's an advantage they're using, only